Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? Hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you a couple of articles to go over that cover the same thing. They are predicting that the cashless society will arrive here within 5 years, or around 5 years, by 2026 to around 2027. Of course, the cashless society is another one of these conspiracy theorists, theories that we were told was just misinformation, disinformation, conspiracy theory. And yet again, it looks like we were right. How many times do right-wing commentators have to predict these things with astounding accuracy before the normies start to wake up and ask themselves, hey, maybe it's not a conspiracy theory, right? Now, why would they want to do this? Well, if you've been watching my videos and you keep up to date with the culture war in general, you will know that the Great Reset is no conspiracy either. And isn't it funny how the people who always point the finger at you and say you're a conspiracy theorist, this is a conspiracy theory, isn't it funny how these people, when the eventuality arises that it wasn't a conspiracy theory and that it was 100% correct, isn't it funny how they never, and I mean never, say, you know what, you was right, I was wrong, this is a bad thing, we need to stop it? Have you noticed that they are always pro whatever it is? Build back better, Great Reset, global warming, cashless society. Think of the coof poke and the booster shots, the efficacy therein. And I could just go on and on and on with examples that have been demonstrated to be the laptop, the Steele dossier, Russia collusion, Russia. I can just go on and on and on, right? So, cashless society, why would they want to do this? If they create a new world order, where you have no freedom, essentially, to purchase what you want with cash that you own in your pocket, a fully digitalized society would be a society where currency, if you can even call it that, could have any value the government says or the banks say it does, because it's not real. Okay, it's a fabrication. The cash you have in your pocket, you can go and spend it here, there, anywhere. It's legal tender. Okay, if you were to, say, speak out against the government in a cashless society, what would be the very first thing that they could do in order to shut you up? They could literally unplug you from the matrix. They could just deperson you completely. And a cashless society helps in that regard. So let's get into these articles now. We'll read them and let's see what we think of them. If you haven't yet though, please like the video, subscribe to the Hoggcast, hit the notification bell and share the video around if you so choose. I'm also on Rumble, you can find me there now. I'll leave the link in the description box. I think that's a good platform. I think it has scope for improvement and growth. So I'll be uploading there too. Okay, let's go. Okay, so let's get into the articles. So the first one from the Express. Millions of Brits face being cut off from the system as cash is to be phased out within 5 years. Campaigners fear millions of people could be cut adrift from the financial system after a warning that cash could be phased out by 2027. Listen, whoever's thinking of this stuff, right, do not have your best interests at heart. Nobody could say, hey, let's radically change a financial system where people have actual real currency in their hand, which is something that societies have had since the beginning of currencies. Okay, and we can change it with a digital system. Anyone who suggests that to you has severely nefarious intentions, in my opinion. Anyone who wants to change something that isn't broke, yeah? And have you noticed that's been happening a lot in the West over the last generation? Things that weren't broke and didn't need to be fixed. Could they be improved on? In some cases, probably, yeah. But have you noticed how they've set about fixing all of these things that never needed fixing in the first place? And they've just made such a cack-handedness of it. For the longest time, a lot of people, myself included, thought that was ineptitude. Turns out it's not. Campaigners say those at risk of being left behind as a cashless society looms include the elderly and the vulnerable, absolutely. Also those with quite bad credit as well. John Howells, chief executive at the UK's Cashpoint network link, said the use of notes and coins is down 40% since COVID and still falling as people switch to plastic. Yeah, because they're terrified. It just brought me back to the top of the page. Cash machines and bank branches are vanishing from high streets, while more shops, restaurants, bars and venues only accept card payments. That's true. That's happening a lot. Mr. Howells warned that around 5 million people are at risk of being left behind unless more is done to help the transition to digital. He said this infrastructure will start to fall apart unless something is done, and we are already seeing ATMs and branches closing at a worrying rate. Our cash infrastructure is experiencing death by 1,000 cuts. Yeah, and that should worry people, right? If it's not that, it's energy. If it's not energy, it's power, right? Everything is crumbling because the people in charge are either incompetent or they have blatantly nefarious goals. They actively want it to crash, to usher in the reset, yeah? I have a feeling that's what they wanted multiculturalism to do, but the COOF it was a crisis that they could exploit, in my opinion. We have 5 to 10 years to fix digital payments before cash becomes unworkable. Just imagine a society like that. What happens if your bank closes your account? What do you do? Right, and we've seen them do that. They target people with political beliefs. What will you do? There would be literally nothing for you to do. Nothing. There'd be no one to turn to. You can't let that happen to your society and call yourself a capable governor, steward, prime minister, president, councillor, you name it. He said the cost of providing cash infrastructure is, quote, huge. You're going to need to be a bit more specific from that. The number of free cash machines has dropped by more than more than a fifth in 4 years, from over 50,000 in 2018 to just over 40,000 today. That's not across the whole country. Of course, it's a drop of 1/5, but those would be like uber rural. But then again, I suppose you could make the argument that they probably need that, okay, and they'd probably be the hardest affected by this digital revolution. It is feared Look, they can't even spell in their own article correctly, and this is a national newspaper here in Britain. It is feared moves towards a digital society would be a hammer blow to pensioners who do not use the internet, yes, but it's also people with bad credit. Not everyone can get a debit card. This would be alleviated to some degree if they had like an uber basic card for anyone with no overdraft. That would be a much better idea. So his calls his warning sparked calls from campaigners for new legislation to protect access to cash. The plea follows plans that were outlined in the Queen's speech earlier this year. Just because cash use has declined, it doesn't mean you have to get rid of it. Yeah, it really doesn't. It's not. Look, here we go. Look, they're talking about the pandemic. However, cash remains an essential part of many people's lives, and it always will do. If you replace it with digital, you will essentially become a digital serf. That's what I think people are heading towards. A digital version of serfdom, where you are locked to a particular place, a particular bank, yeah, a particular this, a particular that, and you can't change it. That's essentially digital serfdom. Yeah, it's like they're saying here, millions of elderly people rely on cash. They rely on it to pay their carers, cleaners, and those who shop on their behalf. Local traders, yeah. It's absurd, it really is. Right, and here, look, maybe 30 or 40 years down the road we can talk about this again. Yeah, and it's the same with all of the electrical, the green energy push stuff. Yeah, the push for, wind, solar, etc., etc. It's not ready yet. They are replacing fossil fuels. And by the way, it was fossil fuels that gave us this life of abundance. So I think people are very ungrateful towards fossil fuels in that regard. It keeps going back up to the top, so it makes me watch a stupid ad. So yeah, in 30 or 40 years time, and in that generation or two, you can actively go about getting the replacement ready. This whole Great Reset push, we are actively changing things, radically changing every aspect of our lives, when in many cases the thing that you want to replace it with isn't there yet, right? And this is seen most starkly not only here, but especially with the whole Green New Deal push, the green energy push. It says here, people are extremely worried about things like car parking apps and so on. It's not just that. Like I said, it's the people with bad credit, it's the pensioners. If it's not that, with, for example, the cost of living crisis, people are worried about that. The rise in crime, people are worried about that. The stuff that's being taught, the poison that's being taught to in young impressionable kids, this woke ideology crap, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. People are worried about that. The creeping Islamification, people are worried about that. Okay, the rise of globalism, people are worried about that. Nobody's happy anymore, right? We're not united anymore. We're not a united kingdom anymore, right? It's just an island full of individuals going in this each and every direction, struggling to make it through, with a government that actively seems to work against their own people. So the next website is from Unbiased, and it goes over the same thing. Cashless UK may soon come. Experts warn. Yeah, we know what we think of the experts, but although I think they're right on this occasion. The UK is at risk of sleepwalking into a cashless society before it's ready. This is the issue, and like I say, I know I'm repeating myself, it's the same with the Green New Deal. We are allowing ourselves to be pulled along on the coattails of Soviet-esque digital globalism, for a want of a better expression. And we're just going, oh yes, okay, that's a good idea. Yes, I think we'll do that. Yeah, let's stop drilling for oil. Let's stop. Do you know, I didn't know this, but Britain actually has a lot of natural gas reserves in the form of they can frack it out of the ground. Nope. So let's go for the Green New Deal. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll go for that. You never put it to the people. You never ask the people. You're the sleepwalking into it. Alternative payment methods may make cash obsolete by 2026. Cash payments are likely to fall to as little as 10% of all UK transactions within the next 15 years, according to a recent study. And I wonder who funded this study. Yeah. I wonder if we could find who funded this study. Okay, and I've got a pretty good idea where this would generally come from. The same people who want to frame a narrative, they do this all the time. We need to go to a digital currency. We need to completely get rid of cash because this study says X. Okay? The study's bunkum. The people who took the study know that. The people who funded it in the first place certainly know that. So when the results of this study come back, and it just so happens to be that the people who funded the study are the ones who are going to benefit most from the policy changes that take place because of the study, and the mainstream media play their part too. The mainstream media will come out. I don't know who's given them these scripts, because if you notice they all say the same thing, but they get their script and they're all for it, and it's like a circle. It goes around like that. It doesn't involve you or me or the voters in any way, really. But they're all spokes on a wheel of globalism, and it just goes around and around and around, and it goes over you. The wheels of globalism, they crush us all. Yeah. 8 million still rely on cash. Well, yeah, that's going to be true, but more people still use cash than 8 million. The idea that, what's 8 million, about a fifth of the United Kingdom's population, a sixth, something like that, maybe a seventh. That only 1 in 7 people use cash is absurd, but 8 million relying on it, absolutely. And you will just deplug those 8 million people from the system. You will just completely deplug them. So this just the rest of the article just goes over what we heard in the original article. Experts are now calling for regulations and incentives to ensure people can continue to get cash back in local shops. Exactly, because they need it. But not only that, there needs to be an uber basic a debit card that you can use online and things like that. That is the very with no credit ability, but you can buy online. That's needed, right? That is needed. Otherwise, so many people will be cut off. Anyway, let me know what you guys think about the cashless society that is. It seems to be coming. Are you looking forward to it? Are you not looking forward to it? And if so, why? Let me know. Remember, I'm on Rumble. You can catch me there. Hit me up on there. Give us a sub. And I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.